I'm here today with Ben and Natalie from Payroll Sorted, and we're going to be looking at how you can remove the black cloud of payroll from your accountancy practice. Say hello, Ben and Natalie.
Hello.
Hello, Ben and Natalie.
Hello. And I can't wait to get started. We will get started with learning about how you can move the black cloud from your payroll services. Good morning, Ben and Nat.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So, to start with, can you tell us a little bit about what Payroll Sorted does, please?
Yes, certainly. Well, first of all, I'm Ben Tyler. I'm the owner of Payroll Sorted. This is Natalie Tipper. She's our relationship manager here at Payroll Sorted. And what are we? We are a payroll business, but a payroll business with a little bit of a difference. We are dedicated to supporting accountants only with their outsourcing requirements in a non-white labelled way. Our mission or our goal is to be recognised as the UK's leading go-to provider for accountants in the UK looking to outsource their payroll requirements.
So if I turn that into my language, Ben, just to confirm that back to you, basically you only work with accountancy practices in the UK to provide payroll services for their customers. And you don't deliver payroll services to direct to you don't engage directly with a client that's not been referred to you basically by an accountancy practice.
Exactly that. The only difference is we that model changed about 3 years ago. So just for me being totally transparent, we have some direct clients from a historic point of view. The reason we've still got them, if I'm being brutally honest, is they charge us a decent. We pay them. They charge us a decent fee. So yeah, we stick with them. But the model now is purely geared up for us offering the service to accountants. So us going direct with a direct client doesn't actually fit the model anymore, basically.
Yeah. Brilliant. So there's some legacy, but
there's legacy,
going for excellent. Thank you. So what are we going to be talking about today, Ben and Nat?
Yes, there's sort of three main things we want to go through today. The first being the top 5 reasons, as we see it, that accountants should outsource to us, and we've got to call them our non-BS reasons. So if you look on a typical outsourcing website, you'll see certain things in there that you frequently get sort of suggestions and reasons to do it, and probably what you would have seen on our website a couple of years ago. But as we've moved forward, we're finding other reasons,
hopefully real reasons.
Yeah, real reasons why to do it. So we want to sort of cover those off, and while doing that, we want to sort of give an overview of how our service works and give an insight into the partnership arrangement that we have. And then the final thing is we've got Mike Crocker from Gravitate joining us. He's one of our existing partners, and that just give you an opportunity to grill him basically on how this has worked for him, and yeah, ask away.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. So I know when we was talking about how this conversation was going to work, you mentioned the black cloud quite a bit. Can you just share with me what you consider the black cloud to be and the challenges that accountants have with their payroll?
Yeah. Let me share my screen. We have and that's pointing me where to go. There. Let me share that.
Next slide.
Excellent. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
It's all right. We're not great with PowerPoint.
Hey, there we go.
There we go. Okay, yeah, so the black cloud, basically, this is what we live in. Payroll for us is how we often describe it as a black cloud.
That's my black cloud today.
It's just living in constant deadlines, basically. Obviously, it's different for different accountancy practices out there, but a lot of the time we speak to partners, it just feels like payroll sometimes has this sort of vice-like grip over the practice. You can't escape the deadlines. Often it's maybe the practice owner or a small number of team members running the payroll, and it just feels like it's constantly lurking over their heads, and causes a lot of stress, and there's fear around missing deadlines, and that's often how it gets described to us, isn't it? That it's just this permanent cloud.
Obviously, our job is to speak to accountants and bookkeepers. That's what we're dealing with, and some of the stories that we hear as well. Almost a fear around sometimes taking time out of the business, especially on the smaller practices as well. It's this fear of the last week of the month where even some practices out there, they don't allow holidays in that last week of the calendar month for the fear of the payroll not getting done, which is just crazy stuff. In this day and age when there's options available, where payroll is still taking over some of the practices we're dealing with, isn't it?
I think as well, in terms of processing payroll, obviously that's a large part of what we do, but the thing that is very stressful is actually dealing with the client communications, the number of queries, the questions that come in that aren't actually necessarily related to the payroll, but it's just managing the client that is this hard thing to manage.
We refer to that as sort of the hidden traps of payroll as well, because payroll in simplicity is getting the pay slips delivered on time for the employer to pay their employees. But the consequence of running a payroll, offering a payroll service is that just alluded to there, that the volume of queries and questions. Now we track all of this stuff, internally we have the systems which we'll be sharing with you. So we understand that resource, that it's just not processing payroll, it's dealing with all the constant questions from the clients as well. And that is definitely a resource zap for a lot of people out there, and that sometimes goes unnoticed, really.
Yeah. So the whole idea of a solution like ours is to take that away from the practice. We manage that, give your team, give you as the practice owner that breathing space to not be so managed by payroll deadlines, and hopefully then get the opportunity to focus on those areas of the business that will push the accountancy practice forward, just that opportunity for growth without payroll being that pain in the bum.
And we have a partner that we've had on board now. So when we talk about partners, a partner for us is an accountancy practice owner that we're dealing with. And she's a sole practitioner. She hadn't been, before coming on board with us, she hadn't had a holiday in 2 or 3 years. She'd grown, got to this where she was all responsible for all of it, felt she couldn't go on holiday. And then she called us, I think it was the beginning of December. She took the leap of faith and actually took a week off in December. And for us, that was like
success.
Absolutely fantastic. That is, great for her, and a nice little success story for for using our service as well. So 100%. That's all good.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think it's clear, it's important to say, so you deal with the collection of the information, any client queries that come up during the course of the month. You then process the payroll, deliver the pay slips, etc., to the client of the accountant. That's yeah. So I think it's important to say at this point that you do not white label this service. Is that correct?
Yes,
that's correct. And again, that word white labeled as well. It's so many different words in this industry, how it's referred to. But from our point of view, what that basically means is we are frontline, for want of a better word, directly with your clients. So there is no facade that we're an employee of your business. There's no facade that we're in your building. It is literally the transparent approach. So all of our partners have communicated with their clients in a way basically saying, look, payroll, where legislation has changed over the years, payroll's got more complex, it's harder to find decent payrollers. We don't want to compromise the service to you guys. We've gone out, we've researched the market, we've found a payroll provider in Payroll Sorted that we believe can service you as well, if not better, from a payroll perspective. And that basically then gives the practice the opportunity to get rid of that black cloud of payroll. All the queries are coming to us, we're dealing with it, exactly everything you just said, Simon, the chasing removes them fully from the payroll function. But the difference is, and again, when we go through these slides as well, it's never been lost on us that these aren't our clients. So although you're outsourcing the payroll function to us, they're not our clients. We are just looking after your clients, basically, from the payroll.
Like
100% we treat them. And obviously what we then do, the mechanisms and the systems we've got around it, is still giving every partner the visibility to see exactly in real-time information what is happening on the payroll function. So they haven't got to touch it, they haven't got to get involved in it, but if they want to, they can dip into it to see exactly what is happening. I think that's key in that outsourcing arrangement, really.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, just going back to the white labeling, there's quite a few reasons why we don't do it. We have tried it, but there's various reasons. It's very hard to manage. Being honest, it is really difficult to manage, especially as you get more partners on board. But the real reason for us is that it goes against our values. So we're very much about transparency, and then pretending to be something we're not. We actually found quite difficult ourselves, didn't we? So that's another reason why we don't do it, because people like to know who they're talking to these days. They don't really like to have a sniff that maybe who they're talking to is not quite what they thought. So that was really one of our main drivers, for as much as it was hard to manage.
And there's other there's providers out there that do offer a white label service. There's no two ways about it. But again, we've tried it, and the way we approach things, we always try and do it correctly. And it was fraught with, I overshare everything, but I don't mind. I'd rather be that way. Give you an example. So we had a conversation where we were in a white label arrangement. One of our employees was talking to the end client. The end client thought my employee was within their office. They were based up considerable way from our office. And in that conversation, when we were speaking to the end client actually said, oh, it's a bit of a nightmare at the moment. Obviously, all that work that's going on around your office on the roadworks. And obviously, our employee doesn't even know where their office is, has no idea, and it just unravelled. And it was like, oh, well, where do you park when you go to the office? And our employee is like, I don't even know where the office is. I've never been to the office. No. And from that, it just caught. We got ourselves caught in the middle of this situation. I'm like, don't want this anymore. And all of a sudden, the clients, well, if you're not in it, where are you then? I thought you were in the office, and it just So that for us is just another thing that's just too complex to manage them type of arrangements, really.
Yeah, so there's the ethical and moral aspect of delivering the service. I would imagine, obviously, as a payroll firm, as a separate firm, you'll have your own culture, your own ethos, and your own way of responding, which would grate against potentially the accountant and would feel uncomfortable or different for the client using you. So best get that out up front. And then logically, if you've got different systems, so you've got different email addresses, different telephone numbers, different people that you're speaking to, potentially going through the accountant, it's got to be less efficient because you've got all these paths of resistance in that process. So it's really, really interesting way of looking for it. So talk to me then about your super employee. What's your super employee? What do they look like?
Yeah, not like that person. So not the cape anyway. So with the super employee, for us, when we talk about outsourcing, I think a real important consideration, not just payroll. So I'm talking about any type of outsourcing. And accountants, but maybe people watching this might already outsource a function, whether that's accounts prep, bookkeeping, call handling. I think for me, the key consideration with any type of outsourcing to really make it work is that provider has to have a tried and tested system of how it works, basically. So what that basically consists of is, or what it means is that then the end user is going to get the same repeatable outcome or consistent experience every single time. So where we are that system-led business that is basically, and where the phrase sort of super employee comes in, where never sick. We're never going to turn around and look at maybe a typical employee. Don't get me wrong, there's great employees out there, and I've got great employees out there as well, but never sick, never takes time off, never too busy to pick up the slack or take on the extra work, basically.
We have that resource internally to help manage that situation. So you as a practice are never exposed. You're just not going to have your payroll person there. We will always be there and make it work. So yeah, just not a typical employee, but we want to be seen as an extension of the business and to be, a part of your payroll team, part of your business. And that's the whole idea with it, really.
And where the super employee part comes from it as well is, again, I'm not trying to put it down on employees. We all need employees in certain roles, but I think when it comes to the payroll aspect, and again, where the benefit of the real benefit of outsourcing to somebody or provider that with us as well, with a systematic approach in place, we're always looking for, we call it, again, coined from an F1 phrase, marginal gains. So we're always looking to see how we can do things better, whether that's how we're delivering the service, whether that's how we're communicating with our partners, our clients. We're constantly looking to evolve the system to make it better, which typically in a normal employee situation doesn't always happen unless you get a fantastic employee. So yeah, we've got the culture here of what can we do to make it
continuous
better?
Improvement is what we're always looking at. Even with payroll errors, we always say that any provider that says they don't make errors are not telling the truth. Like it's just impossible with payroll to be perfect. We do everything possible we can to not make errors. We have a quality control team. We have a checklist for a checklist, like literally everything. But we will now and again we make mistakes, and not just in. If you must, are you sure you want to?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So again, I'll tell you this again. I'm transparent in what we do. So we take much. I hate mistakes. The way we are and the way we set the business up.
We find them embarrassing.
Having to call a partner, we dropped the ball, or this has happened as well. So what we have internally, we call them our Avenger meetings. So our Avenger meetings, if anyone watch any Marvel films, they'll understand what that is. So Avengers assembled for us. If something goes wrong, and that could be the smallest thing or something slightly bigger, leadership team here will jump either on a Zoom or in a meeting room, and we will discuss that. We're not talking major problems. It could be anything where the system has broken down or something has gone wrong to the way we delivered the service. We jump on in a meeting. We'll discuss what's gone wrong, how it's gone wrong. Is there something we need to do on the system to stop it happening again? always basically evolving to say what can we do better, basically. And I think that's one of the great reasons we want to get it better. We want to keep pushing the service going forward, don't we?
100%, yeah. And that, this includes some of the links on here. In fact, we could absolutely balls this up here because we're not good at this stuff, but we've got a few links on here that we just want to share, just to give people an insight into how we do this and how we've built this.
I think we're proud. I think is where we are with our business. We've got this. Every employee that works for us, from the way we advertise and recruit for our staff, the way that we onboard our staff, we want a performing team. That's what a high performing team. That's what we want. So they're aware of that. They're aware they're going to be benchmarked. They're going to aware if their quality control scores dip. We're going to have a chat with them. We're going to see what's going on.
It's like daily performance management, but with the positive.
And this stuff here is, this is what we work. This is the stuff that we track internally. This is example
data.
This is
so as it stands, I can only see the slide at the moment, Ben. I can't see. Has it gone to a different screen?
I knew we were going to balls this up. Hang on 2 seconds. Let me stop the share, and then I'm going to try again. Okay, just bear with me. I think it's because you shared the screen. Stop share and go back and share screen, and then no, I just need to do desktop. I think. Let's try one more time. 1 second. Please work, otherwise we'll just have to talk you through it.
There you go. That's worked.
Hey,
that's
worked.
Better than you.
100% better than me. 100%.
Not competitive at all.
This is internal for us. This is our scoreboard, so we make it a bit of fun as well. It's a basketball call. This is where we track of how well we're doing, what our overall percentages are for the month, for the week, and this is this is only the system that we've got. And everybody can see where they are. We even have like a little leaderboard down here as well, so people can see who the top performers are. So everything we're doing is pushing the bar to making sure the quality, the level of the payroll that's going out the door is error free, and we're tracking that stuff as well. And from a system point of view as well, if I just jump,
is your mouse gone?
Mouse is gone. Oh, we love technology, don't we?
The mouse is gone. We might just have to talk through it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, it's changed now on the screen. So
yeah, it's being a bit. The mouse has actually stopped moving. Is the problem? If we go back up, we'll have to just talk through it, Ben. This always happens to us with IT stuff. We're great at systems, but not great with PowerPoint, unfortunately. So when we talk about being system-led, not people-led, everything we do is built around a system. So, for example, with our trackers, everything is tracked, in terms of pay dates and where we are with them. So we have visibility of that. With our checklist process, which hopefully, can you see that on the screen now?
Yes, I can see that now. Yeah.
Everything we're building is so that we can track where we are with things, and we've got the ability to be able to look at where things have gone wrong and make sure they don't go wrong. So this is our newest version of our checklist. So this is Ben's dad's company, so he's given us permission to share this as an example before anyone starts freaking out.
And this is, again, we did a webinar about a year ago, and we actually gave away at the time back a year ago. We were using an Excel checklist. So the whole idea is every payroll we run, there's a checklist way of doing it to making sure we get a consistent output from the way things are doing. But it was a little bit flawed. People in an Excel spreadsheet can skip out questions or do this. The way this is now, it's gone live. Everything forces a response, so it forces people to answer the questions, and it's dynamic. You can see it stops them doing certain stuff at certain stages of the payroll. And again, this for us is just another evolution. When we introduced this new checklist, all of a sudden we got that marginal gain again, or we start getting better percentages internally as well. And this is that evolving thing that we're looking to do. Everything and every employee has to follow these checklists of how we run things.
It also comes down to efficiency as well. So all these bits you can see on the side here, these are pulled from different boards within our system. And whereas before people were having to go to a stock board, to a knowledge board, to a payroll tracker, what we're trying to do is streamline the process so that they've got all the information they need in one place and not have to keep going all over the place. So when we say marginal gains, these are the things we're developing all the time to push us forward as a business and be able to be more efficient and more accurate in what we're doing. So
thank you. So, and is that's priority that's software that you have developed, that you're writing in order to be able to deliver that service consistently. And I've got a question in the system from Susan, which I think is important, but we'll just finish off on this. Does the accountant does the accountant have access to that that dashboard? Do they need access to that, or is that just a completely internal system in order to make sure you're as good as what you need to be?
Let me see if I can get back to where I want to get back to.
You can get to the link on the PowerPoint. So the answer to that, so this bit here, the partner wouldn't have access to, because that's internal to us. That's how we deliver on the processing of the payroll. What they do get is what Ben's just logging into here. This is, again, a dummy example one. This is all just made up data, but all of our partners get a visibility dashboard like this. And the whole idea behind this, we've had this probably a year or so now. And as we got more partners on board, we realized that for them, the fear of outsourcing was a lot around the control and still understanding where things were with the payroll. So we developed these visibility dashboards where it pulls through our live monthly trackers. Now, in a real dashboard, you can actually toggle through the different months. So you'd have the whole year in there, but this is just an example one. But they would see where we are on a given month and see us move through our payroll cycle. So obviously at the beginning of the month, everything kind of says to start. As the month progresses, all the fixed payrolls, I forgot the word where I work, go to draft to check, draft ready to send, and then send. And then as we go through the variable ones, they'll go from chased again, to timesheet, to whip, to check. So you see us go through the whole process. So especially for new partners where they're building the faith in the service, it's a really nice way for them to go, do you know what, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I'm just going to log in and see where they are. And you can see the pay dates and the date to run. And the whole idea was just that reassurance that.
And empowerment as well. So the visibility dashboard, these are real time. This wasn't dummy data. So what we're trying to achieve is a sea of green. So green in our world is good. It's done basically. So where the empowerment comes from is, if for argument's sake you had a partner meeting this afternoon and you thought, I want to see where we are in this month's payroll cycle before I go into the meeting, you can literally come in here and this will empower you around where it is as well. Mm-hmm. What you can also do from here, the way we've built it as well, we've got a reports area. So you can then dip into any of your clients. We make this already available, where you can literally go into any month and then all the passwords, you can get pay slips, you can get April's one.
That's got more in it,
where you can go in there and every report that we save and we generate as part of running the payroll, you have access to it, or your team can have access to it as well. And just going back to the visibility dashboard as well, where we have this transparent.
Click it again.
Where we have this transparent approach, we keep score for you as well. So every month we will tell you if we've messed up, if we've sent one out for approval and it's failed approval, the client's changed something when we've run the payroll, we will keep track of what the scores are.
We hold ourselves accountable for it. So you would see in the given month, the groups change down here in the tracker, and you'll see where there's client changes, you'll see which clients it affects. You'd see if we've had a sign-off fail, you see that. And what we do with our Avengers meetings, which makes me cringe every time I say it, is that our performance manager, normally Jess or myself, will get in touch with the partner to let them know now ahead of the end of month keep in touch video, which we'll talk about in a minute. So we're just trying to make it as transparent and joined up as we possibly can with our partners. And if you scroll down for me, Ben, sorry, my little assistant, if you scroll across as well, this bit I think is really important as well. So I sort of handhold with our onboarding team when a partner comes on board with us. And what we've seen more recently is where we're taking over from another outsourced provider, the quality of the handover is sometimes atrocious. And the willingness to share that information with the accountant to get back to them is also often not there. And we don't ever want to be like that. We fully get that these are your clients, your data, and you should have access into it at all times. So we just give you this information available in the dashboard at all times. So if you're going to a client meeting and you want to remember, how do they get their pay slips? Is it via the portal? What pension provider are they with? When's their re-enrollment? You can get that stuff off of here. You don't need to come to us necessarily to ask for it, although we'll obviously be there. And the other thing is, if you ever decided, you know what, this isn't right for me, I don't want to work with Payroll Sorted anymore for whatever reason that might be. Things change, don't they? And we get that. This is your data, and we could just export it and give it back, and we'll make it easy. And that's the whole idea around. We want people to work with us because they want to work with us, not because we're forcing them to and holding their data to ransom.
Yeah, I think it's a really excellent idea. So one of my fears as an accountant in effectively passing this process over to you is that I'm going to walk into a meeting with a client, or the telephone's going to ring, and I've got an irate client on the end of the telephone saying that Ben and Nat at Payroll Sorted, they've not done this, they've not done that, etc., etc. And then I've got to handle that process, where as if there's a dashboard, I can look in, and 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it's probably something that they've not replied to, or they've not confirmed, or whatever, and then I can help them and coach them through that process. So I really like that. So just to finish off on this, because I'm mildly conscious of the time. I know we've got lots of things to get. We've got lots of things to get through. So Susan's asked, whose software do you use? Do you use your software, or do you use the accountant's software?
So yeah, we take care of that as well. So again, being transparent, we only use one bit of software. So we use BrightPay. Again, we've tried using different types of software. It's too difficult for us to have a robust system that works correctly using different bits of software for training. So we use BrightPay. But what we do is free migration. So if we have lots of partners that aren't in BrightPay, typically they might be coming from Sage, Xero, Moneysoft. We do the migration, bring them into BrightPay. We pay for all the BrightPay license. So technically the accountant doesn't need payroll software anymore. Anything they want report-wise, we provide obviously within that report area. So it is a full outsource function. And the reason we almost do that as well, and we don't share backups and data backups, my belief, if you're outsourcing the function of payroll, we don't want you, or the accountant almost, to have the option to dip in and make themselves get back involved in it as well. If you're outsourcing the problem and you want to be rid of the black cloud, get rid of the black cloud. If you need to dip in and ask questions, that's what we're here for. That's what the service is. We will feed it back to you in a real quick manner, rather than you have to go and search for why did that tax code change, or let me go and look in the software. Ask us and we will come back and tell you, basically.
Brilliant. Thank you, Susan, for that question. If anybody else has got any other questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box or the chat box, and I will gladly answer them for you. So the idea of the super employee, just to cover that off, is that if you're a sole trader, or you've got one person that's doing the dedicated aspect of the payroll, the super employee is there to take that away from you, the responsibility away from you, and ultimately be there. Well, I won't say 24/7, but be there all of the time in order to make sure that you're delivering the payroll service to your customers. Thank you. So let's talk about improving your practice. What things can you do in order to improve the client experience? Yeah.
So by outsourcing to, I don't want to keep saying us, but obviously we're on here. So by outsourcing to a provider like us, not in theory, in practice as well, all we do is payroll. So the service, everything we do, every single meeting we have is all geared around that one function, which is payroll. So we should be pretty good. We should at what we do, and we are sort of the experts in the field of being able to deliver a payroll service. So what that basically means from an accountant who's outsourcing it is, it's that confidence that when it comes over to us, the service will improve. That client experience it puts on there, the client experience will get better. The way that we communicate with the clients, the way that we send reminders, the way that we chase them, the way we communicate with them. We run monthly competitions for engagement with them. We have a guaranteed 4-hour response time to emails back to them as well. All of that type of stuff will either be on par with the service, or if not better. And I think what comes from that is, where accountants are the trusted advisors for their clients, it's just reinforcing that again. Well, where we see it a lot, where after maybe 3 or 4 months of working with us, clients will start feeding back to their accountants when they're in their normal catch-up calls or their monthly meetings with their clients, saying, how's the payroll service going? The feedback is going to be, yeah, it's going really well. We love it. They're great. It's working well. The accountant's happy because the client's happy, and then it's more of a trusted relationship comes from that as well.
So just on top of that as well, by working with us, so we're not just one individual or 2 individuals, we have a whole team of people with different skills that sit within our business. So we have an onboarding team. So for any new clients that you get, we have a whole team of people that manage that onboarding process, getting the information, setting it up, getting them on the portal. We have a quality control team. We have a processing team. We've got technical payroll, and we've now got a customer service team as well. So by sort of tapping into that, you're getting all of those different skill sets for maybe the cost of, or hopefully less than the cost of, a person in your business or a team in your business. You couldn't get that level of support for your practice with someone in-house. You just can't, not for the same cost.
And just going back to the reason for this little PowerPoint, the real reason, what that actually means is if the clients are raving about the service and saying, oh, the payroll element's going really well, actually it's better than when you guys were even doing it, which that does actually happen in the real world. What that ultimately means is that at some point, and we see our partners do it after a period, it gives them the opportunity to then up the price as well. The clients are raving about the service, saying how good it is, and it also then gives the confidence to be able to raise the prices as well.
Excellent, thank you. So just while we're talking about the pricing, I know we're going to move on now to putting payroll into profit. But Michael's asked, do Payroll Sorted engage directly with the client for payment? And how much of the pension element of payroll do you deal with? So the first question is, do you engage directly with the client or do you engage with the accountancy practice?
Yeah, so again, they're not our clients. These are your clients. So the engagement stays with them. So the letter of engagement would incorporate payroll as part of your service. The letter of engagement, or however you want to dress it up, or you communicate it in terms of conditions, is an outsourced relationship. So they're your clients under your letter of engagement. We undertake the work. We invoice the partner, or we invoice the accountant at the end of the month for the services. And then the accountant will obviously recharge that onto their clients or wrap it up in the service.
Okay, so just for me to confirm that back. So the accountant still engages with the client.
Yep.
You engage with the accountant and then charge the accountant, and the accountant can either pass that cost on or they can make a profit out of it if they want to, or however they want to package that up in the big scheme of things, and they deliver that service to their customers directly through their letter of engagement.
Yeah,
correct.
Excellent, thank you. And then how much of the pension element of the payroll do you deal with?
All of it.
All of it. Yeah.
So yeah,
all of it.
Opt-ins, opt-outs, re-enrollment. Well, the re-enrollment sits outside our standard fee, but we agree that as part of our onboarding, what that relates to. Then we track those dates and we inform the client when it's approaching. So yeah, it's pretty much auto enrollment. Everything is covered. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you, Michael. Andy's asked, is there a minimum quantity of payrolls?
Nope.
Nope. So you'll do 1 or do 100 basically. There is no minimum. And I know there was a question, and I've not got the sheet open just at the moment, but I know somebody said, do you have to do all of the payrolls? So if I've got an accountancy practice and I've got 50 payrolls, do you need all 50, or could you do, say, my 10 and I keep 40?
100%. We can do that when we've done that with quite a few partners over the years. And what typically happens is we start with 10 and then we get them all further down the road as that confidence builds, or the practice changes and grows, and they just say, yeah, take it all. So we'll take a few or all, whatever people. Yeah.
What we see, just what Nat touched on there as well, it can be just down to certain timings as well. So it might be the case that there's a practice that maybe wants to grow and push on, but they're maybe not charging correctly. So what they might do is give us maybe 10 or 20 to start with that they can reprice. Then they go to work on the next batch of clients, repricing them correctly. And it's a gradual migration. Some go all in, right? There's 100 clients, can you go and do them? But we're really flexible.
Excellent. So if I was being a little underhand, for want of a better phrase, I could give you all of the rubbish ones, the ones that are a real pain in the back.
That happens all the time. Yeah.
None of the nice ones. We get all the little naughty clients and the hard.
I can imagine. Obviously, I would never dream of doing that, but I can imagine. And then Nicola's asked, do you act as agent with HMRC too? So can you speak directly to HMRC on behalf of the client if there are any issues raised?
Yeah, so typically how we recommend we do that, mainly for sort of not to inconvenience the clients too much with a switchover, and also to the partner sort of keeps the control. We would normally be a team member within your organisation, so it would stay within your HMRC credentials, and we manage it that way.
So yeah, we get set up as a new user within your agent portal. That user only has the credentials to see the PAYE element of the clients. And again, we have a whole guide and we explain how to do that. And it works really well. Yeah, so you're fully in control. We're not the agent. There's none of that. Again, they're your clients.
And we can still deal with
HMRC. We can still deal with that side of it, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And I think that answers your question as well, Carly. But if you've got a supplementary question or that didn't answer your question, you just pop that back in the Q&A box. That would be great. And then lastly, for the moment, Jill has asked, do you deal with CIS and CIS suffered?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not part, and again, we'll touch on this and out. We've got our new website launched today, which will cover all of this off in detail. But yeah, CIS, we do CIS all the time. It's part of the service that we offer, but it isn't fun. It's a standard. It's a bolt-on service effectively. But yeah, CIS, we have a whole system and a whole structure for dealing and managing that as well.
Thank you. So moving on then to pushing payroll into profit, I think we might have covered the stuff that we was going to cover around that. But is there anything that you would like to add on to that? The stop doing stuff for free was the one that sort of punched me in the face when I was reading it.
Well, let me refer back to one of them questions that come through about, do we do everything pension related? So let's delve into that a little bit deeper, because that mentioned, so the typical monthly or weekly requirements around the pension, the uploads, the managing the opt-in, opt-outs, new starters and the letters, all that gets taken care of as part of our normal service. Something like re-enrollment, we charge additionally for that. So something in the region of £50-60 is what we would charge the accountant to take care of the re-enrollment side of things. There's lots of practices out there that are doing that type of stuff for free. So this slide here is actually called Push Payroll into Profit. So this is one of the sort of the real reasons, or another hidden benefit of outsourcing, is we will, want a better word, we will charge for everything, every additional service we are going to charge for. So all re-enrollment, redeclaration is something we're going to charge for. But what that does for a lot of our partners, it really gets them to focus on what they're pricing. And they're like, actually, Payroll Sorted are charging us for that. Why aren't we charging that back onto the client? Because something like re-enrollment, if it gets missed, it can have a massive knock-on effect. And it's easy to miss it. We know it is. We have to build systems and systems to make sure it doesn't get missed. So definitely something to be charged for. And a lot of our partners are thankful that we are like saying, no, you should be charging for this. So we're trying to push the whole payroll element, because so much stuff just gets swept up in that, oh, it's payroll, and things can get out of control. And this is where we hear this phrase, lost payroll's a lost leader, because everything gets wrapped up in the payroll, and you might be charging your client £30-40 for a monthly payroll, but before you know it, you've included the CIS, you're including the re-enrollment, so it all
takes so much time. It's so much risk involved. I mean, we've obviously spoken about this time, but we're so passionate about this, and we're going to be biased because we work in payroll, but we honestly just feel like when we're speaking to some like prospects, why are you not charging for this stuff? It takes time, it takes resource, there's a huge amount of risk there, there's massive fines if stuff gets missed. Why wouldn't you charge correctly for it? And we want to change that, because we really do feel passionate about it, don't we? And so when we get started on this, we never shut up about anything.
And the model is really simple for us as well. But the model is all geared around a leap of faith when it comes to the pricing. For me, outsourcing payroll and using our model, it should be really simple. As long as we've got a set price list, as long as you are charging your clients more than we're charging you, you are always going to profit from payroll. And we've got 70, 80 plus accountants that we're working with. They are all making profit from payroll, because they know our price list, they're marking it up, and they're making 20, 30, 40, 50% markup on the payroll function. But it is having that leap of faith sometimes to be able to reprice your clients, or the confidence that you can charge more. So
just one of the things that we also help with pushing this is that every month we provide a schedule with our invoice that gives a breakdown per client of the employee movements. So if the numbers have gone up or down, our billing obviously adjusts to reflect that. And the feedback I've had on that from partners is that they weren't doing that in-house themselves because of the resource time it takes to actually track that and manage that side of it. But because we're now sharing that information with them, and they're seeing those fluctuations and all the extra things that have sort of been thrown in there, that they're sort of like, oh, that's brilliant, because now I can just take that information and I can pass that cost on, and I don't have to get someone to sit there and track that stuff, because we're tracking it for them. And I think that's helpful.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. Just on this, I've got a question from Carly. How do you deal with difficult clients who struggle to get info over in time? So do you charge them extra, or do you just absorb that? How does that work? Just briefly.
So are you doing to me?
Go for it.
We try to sort of gently condition them. So especially when we first take on a client, we're always fully aware, and partners normally give us a heads up, this client's a bit of a challenge. So the first month we will set the expectation of what our cutoffs are by how we onboard them, and then if they continually keep being late, we obviously chase them as per our normal processes. But then we get to a point, if they're not playing ball, we'd probably make the partner aware, and we would discuss with them how we approach it to sort of put some firmer rules in place, whether that's threat of additional charges, things like that. It's very much a gentle conditioning approach to it that we will work carefully with the partner to manage, because we don't want to steam in there, when they're used to misbehaving for a long time, but we will get them into better behavior because we have to, and that's how we do it, isn't it?
And that's our job ultimately. So if it is, then get a lot of partners that work with us before, they're like, one of the biggest problems we've got at payroll is getting the stuff in. If the stuff come in on time, or it come in on the same day, they want a same day turnaround. Outsourcing gives us the opportunity to reset that bar to say, look, we're now taking control of the payroll function. This is ultimately how we want. These are our rule of the game, how we're going to do it, and we will manage them to try and adhere to that best that we can. And a lot of the time, it might take, Nat said, 3 or 4 months, but they eventually get with the program. Or again, as Nat is adhered to there, the threat of additional fees usually then, okay, I'll send it in on time this month or this week.
Brilliant, thank you. So I know the next conversation we're going to have is around it being a real partnership. Now, I'll throw a little bit of a curveball in here for you. I'm conscious we've got 19 minutes to go, and instead of you talking about what the real partnership is like, I think we're going to have a conversation with Mike. So Mike can use his words to describe that rather than yours. So if we can have Mike in, and you two can disappear and get a cup of tea or whatever it is, and we'll just have a chat with Mike. Whilst you just
me sharing visibility, we're not, again, we haven't paid Mike for this as well. This is really genuine from the heart conversation. Yeah, I will log off.
If you just stop that share, and then Michael and Anthony, I've got your questions. I'll make sure they get answered before we disappear. Tony, we have talked about the pricing, but we're going to come back to that in a moment, and it's all transparent. You can go to the website and find out where it is. But before we get to that, can I introduce Mike Crocker from Gravitate? A round of applause for Mike. Thank you very much for coming along. And just introduce yourself, Mike, to start with. Who are Gravitate?
Right, so we're a Sheffield-based practice. Just to give you context, there's 11 people that work here. We're very much an advisory-focused practice, working with startups, growing companies, scale-ups, offering services such as management accounts, bookkeeping, compliance, payroll, and outsourced FD. Thank you.
And how long have you been working with Payroll Sorted?
So we've been working with them since, I believe it was May 21. So the key thing there to note is that we didn't transfer over at a payroll tax year. And I think that's quite crucial. So I want to get that point across, that although we transitioned during, it all went pretty swimmingly.
So was you just on that point, Mike? Because one of my accountancy questions is coming. So it's like transferring payroll mid-year. Were you on Bright Pay? So was it just a question about downloading the data and uploading it? No, it was worse than that, was it?
Yeah. And you say worse because the expectations is, wow, this is going to be a massive task. And I think Nat sort of touched on it there, and sort of their onboarding team and their sort of dashboard helps you to sort of visualize it and work with them to get it all across. But we had people on, I think it was MoneySoft. There was a few on Sage, I think was one, and there was BrightPay as well. But the key there is there was 3 different sources of software that they needed to get across, and it all worked fine.
Thank you. And Dave just asked, did you do them all at once?
Yes.
Or did you? Yeah. So it was like, these are the clients. They all went across. You didn't do 10 one week, 10 the next month, 10 the next month, or anything like that. They all went across, and that all ran smoothly for you.
Absolutely. We're outsourcing, Simon. We're getting rid of it. We're not going to do it piecemeal.
And away you go. Okay, so what pain, Mike, did Payroll Sorted get rid of for you? What was you experiencing? Why did you choose to use Payroll Sorted or outsource the payroll?
There's loads. I could spend all day here, but I suppose the main 2 ones are make some money on it. I know for sure we was losing money, 100%. I couldn't quantify it because it's time. We don't do time sheets, etc. But we used to work with an outsourced, white labeled payroll facility partnership before, and we was using our team still. Our team was still getting involved. So the key for us is that, okay, our fingers were burnt by outsourcing, but we knew when we jumped on, I think it was a Go Proposal webinar that they did, that these guys was totally aligned from how they run their business from a technology point of view, how they see it being scalable. Because again, to give you context, our company's grown 200% year on year growth. So we need something scalable with us. All our partnerships need scalability. If it doesn't have it, it's not going to work. So I suppose that's the key thing for us, is making sure that as we grow, this partnership can facilitate that, and they have done. And then the second thing is time. So we had a person in our team that's not a payroll person that was almost like facilitating the payroll because it was white label. They was getting involved, communication back and forth, and they wasn't doing the payroll, but we were paying them to do the payroll and then paying an outsource function to do the payroll. So again, the white labeling is a no-brainer. You're being transparent with your client. You're saying, look, we're not the best person to do it. Like, we are good at advisory, management accounts, etc. That is where we're best placed. And I realized I'm not giving you the best service. And I was open to call all of my clients and said this: I want you to have the 5-star service that you're not getting. Now, using Payroll Sorted will give you that. And the great thing was, it didn't cost them any more. In fact, actually, our prices went down, and I know Ben was fuming because he was like, look, you should be making more money on it. And I'm sure if there's any practice owners listening today now, they'll be like, look, all I want to do is my clients have the best possible service. I actually don't care about making money out of payroll. We should, but we don't. That's not our key focus. And that wasn't mine. But I can see that I could make a lot more money out of it. I just choose not to. But the clients are getting a way better service than they were before.
Yeah, that was one of my fundamental questions. The client experience, or the conversation that you had with those clients. Mentally, for me, it's like they might think less of me because I can't deliver payroll service. So they might think I'm not a proper accountant, or they might use that as an opportunity to look elsewhere for payroll services rather than use me. Or they might rant and rave and say, well, I don't want to use you as an accountant, full stop, end of story. Then I want to go and use somebody else as my accountant that can do a proper job and have it all in one place. Did you experience any of that when you moved over?
Absolutely not, because you've got to be honest with yourself and say, look, what am I good at? Why did that accountant come to me? Why did that client come to me? Right? They didn't come to me because I'm a payroll specialist. So why should they leave me because I'm not a payroll specialist? Right? They come to me because I'm a wicked FD. They come to me because my management accounts are very informative. Now, they don't come because I pay the staff. That's just an add-on, bolt-on service. Now, I think it says a lot about a person going to the client and saying, I know what I'm good at. And that's why my business is built around really good partnerships. And I'm not one big, huge accountancy practice that means you have to use our payroll department. You use our partnerships. We go and pick the best partnerships to give the best service. And I think if you explain it in that sort of way, then they can't really come back with anything, because you've got their best interests at heart, really. Like, you want them to have the best service, and you're picking the best partners.
Thank you. And Carly's asked, I think I've answered your first question, Carly, but how did you feel about it? Was there any nerves around it? How did you feel in the process?
No, it's a big decision, absolutely a massive decision, right? But you just need to find yourself at a point in time where you just stop and start to think about your business and say, look, everyone's busy in practice. We're all busy. We're all trying to service our clients. And it was Christmas time. Me and Sam, we didn't have any time off, but we did have some time off. But we sort of sat there and said, look, we're really, really busy, working all hours every single day. What part of this business could we change to get some more time back? And it was payroll. And we identified that, we wasn't doing a good enough job. We didn't know if we were doing everything absolutely right. I think that's another key thing. Was we doing everything we should have been doing? Re-enrollment, we were just, in a way, a little bit, winging it from a payroll perspective, because we knew we could get there. But wouldn't it be better if we just knew what we needed to do and when we needed to do it beforehand? So no, it wasn't a scary thing for me because I wasn't a payroll specialist. So I felt more comfort in passing it over to Payroll Sorted because it was going to get better.
Thank you. And what did the team think? Was there any, oh no, he's taking work away from me, I'm going to be made redundant? Or was there any of that sort of conversation go on?
No, I mean, for us, we didn't have an internal payroll person as sort of payroll specialist, had someone facilitating the process. So their time now is better spent doing management accounts, which we can charge far more for, we can make more money out of. So their time that they're not spending on that now, they're absolutely smashing it in a different area of the business.
Excellent, thank you. And then lastly, obviously, when you went through this process, you was already working with a white labeled provider. When you went through the process of finding Payroll Sorted, what was it about? You obviously compared them to other providers. What was it about Payroll Sorted that helped you decide to use them?
I suppose it's technology and alignment for us. So when we saw the webinar Go Proposal, we heard what they were saying and where they wanted to be and their vision in terms of the service that they was offering. That felt really aligned from us. So anything we do when we're prospecting a client, we want the partnerships that we partner with to align with what we are doing. So we don't want to, I don't know, send out a Go proposal, e-signature, Go cardless link, emailing, repeating invoices out to then someone send them a paper letter asking for information on payroll. You see, these have got links to checklists for new starters. Everything's very, very digitized. So for us being digital first, it was a key partnership there, was that element. The transparency is really good because we don't want any smoke and mirrors with clients. We want them to feel like we are very honest, kind people. So telling them and being upfront that it's not us doing it, but these guys are great. And in doing that, you almost get to, sorry, Nat and Ben, but you get to pass on the responsibility as well. So I used to work in accountancy practice, and the most negative feedback we got was from the payroll department, because it's no one praises you for when it's right, but when it goes wrong, it's everyone's fault. And that I used to be an account manager. The hardest thing to manage was managing complaints from a payroll perspective. Now, what I get to say is, look, I've got loads of weight with Payroll Sorted because they've got all our clients on there. Let me go and address it. But in all honesty, I've never had to do that, which is great. And we've been using them for nearly a year now. So it's just working really, really well. And then lastly, pricing. So pricing was a bit of a concern for me, but once we went and had a call with Nat and told them what we were charging, what clients we've got, they came back with a pricing, and it turned out that actually we would make money on it. So again, I could call the clients up and say, you're going to get 10 times better service, and guess what? It's not going to cost you any more. And in fact, prices have come down slightly.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mike, for sharing. I'm just going to ask you one more question. We're going to bring Nat and Ben back. I've managed to anyway. So Ben and Nat, if you come back, there's just last question for you, Mike. Is there anything else that you would like to share that I've not asked you around the provision that you've had from Payroll Sorted?
No, I think we've covered everything off. I think it's sort of barriers for anybody who's listening is, signing up and getting the transition over worked really, really well. So if you're sat there thinking, look, I don't know if we should do this because it's going to cause loads of disruption, it absolutely doesn't. It works seamless in terms of an onboarding perspective. And now we literally do not spend any time talking to clients about payroll. We have fully outsourced the responsibility.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you very much, Mike, and wave goodbye so you can go and earn some money doing your day job rather than talking to the community. Thank you, Mike, for coming along, and I'll speak to you again shortly, no doubt. Hello, Ben and Nat's back again. We've got 7 minutes to go. I think we've covered off everything that we needed to cover off. There's just one thing, the Keep in Touch video. Could you just briefly share what that is? In fact, before you do that, when people would like to get in touch with you in order to take the next step of this process and obviously working with you around their payroll, how do they do that?
Simplest one is jump on the website. Our new website got launched last night, and this, for me, the website is all education. So every single question, I can almost guarantee that it's coming up in this webinar today, we've done a video on it. Go to our video library. There's, I think, 80 plus videos covering every question we've ever been asked about accounting, about outsourcing. It's on there, but the call to action for me, get on there. It says book a discovery call. Through straight to Nat's calendar, book it in there, and then we can obviously discuss things in a bit more detail.
Thank you. And Mark's popped that in the chat box. All you got to do is just click the link, go and book a call, and then you can obviously start the process with Ben and Nat. So we've got 6 minutes now. Let's do some quick fire questions. Just share with me what the Keeping in Touch video is about, Nat.
Yeah, so I do keep in touch videos at the beginning of every new month, and it's shared now between myself and a colleague because I can't actually do them all myself. But what we do is it's just a couple of minutes, just a summary on the visibility dashboard of us just sharing how the month went, if we've had any issues, and that can be the simplest of issue. Our team logged literally everything, but we will share it. And in fact, one partner told me this month I overshare, and he was like, "You tell me stuff I don't need to know," and I said, I get that, but I would rather tell you, because I would, if I miss one thing, you can guarantee you'd be like, you didn't tell me about that. Now, so we share everything, and we just go through any issues we've had. If we've got any reruns, any clients that are being a bit of a pest, and I will give a summary on that, and just a recap of the month, every single month.
And positive things, feedback, praise, even the other way as well. Sometimes our team might speak to the end client, and the end client might be saying how fantastic their accountant is and what a great job they've done. With feedback back as well.
So but sometimes they're like a 2-minute video, other times a little bit longer, but the opportunity is there to also have a face-to-face every single month as well. But what we were finding, where people would prefer to get the video, because unless there's actually anything to talk about, it's a better use of their time to have the video rather than...
they can watch it whilst they have a cup of coffee or eat the cornflakes or whatever it is, rather than having to have a more formal conversation. That's great, thank you. Pricing. So Tony and Jill have both asked questions around the pricing. How do we find out about the pricing? Is it covert and secret, or is it all out there in the big wide world?
Quite the opposite. So the theme of this today, I hope I've said it about 20 times, is transparent. So I think we are the only payroll provider in the UK that has now actually got a calculator on there. So you guys can jump on our website, get a quote. It takes you into one of our web pages, and you can play around in there. You can manipulate it in there based on how many employees, the frequency, whether it's a fixed or variable payroll, and you will see the price. That is the price that we will charge you for our standard service. That won't change when you jump on the call. So it's a great, jump on the discovery call. The information will be exactly the same as within that quote. So empowering the audience to go and dip in themselves and get the price.
So all of the pricing's there. Jill also asked, do you do bulk discounts? So is it... No, so is it the price is the price, and it's delivered to that client on that behalf, and it's all the same for everybody, basically?
Yeah, every partner that we work with is paying exactly the same fee. Yeah,
brilliant, thank you. So I've got 4 questions and 3 minutes left. So Michael said, do you deal with payroll on a weekly frequency?
Yes.
So do you do so any frequency you like?
Yep.
Yeah. And do you also help with additional elements like trunks and tips?
Yeah, we've got a few trunk systems. Yeah, we must have 10 of them that we do as well. Yep.
Yeah, not loads.
Don't like them, but yeah, we've got them.
So basically anything and everything to do with payroll. Michael's also asked, hopefully it never comes back, but did you deal with furlough during the pandemic?
Probably more than any other provider in the country, I reckon.
I don't know. Well, we did 1 or 2. It was like, yes, hopefully it never comes back, Michael. Was the beginning of that. Anthony said, what happens if the client decides to try and cut out the accountant and wants to work with you direct on payroll?
I love this question. So we've got 2 videos. There's actually 2 videos on this because it comes up all the time. We don't do it. We don't entertain it. So it's the most short-sighted view in the world for us as well. Our partnership, we want to be working in partnership with accountants. Us trying to backdoor it and, is such a short-sighted view that, especially in a community like this, our reputation will be shot to bits. But what we actually do, we get some clients, end clients are really clever. They will try and phone us and get a secret price. Any price that we give. It
doesn't actually happen. It's happened
a couple of times. We massively inflate it. So the likelihood of that's why we don't do direct clients anymore. They come to us, the price they will get from us will be well over above, and it blows that theory out the water.
Also, one thing, when we do get the calls come in, if we do get direct ones, which we get some from referrals, word of mouth, things like that, we have a system where we check to make sure that individual doesn't already exist on our database before we even engage in a conversation. So it happens hardly ever, but occasionally you get the sneaky one if they've fallen out with their accountant mainly.
Thank you. And then we've got so Michelle's just asked us, but we've been no mention of bookkeepers. Are they treated the same as accountants? So there's a weird thing with this with Michelle. So I talk about accountants and bookkeepers in the same generic because they're providing financial services to the clients. So there would be no difference between how you dealt with a bookkeeping practice.
We work with bookkeepers as well, exactly the same. It's just the terminology we always refer to. That's why we try and do partners. More than
if you go on our website, it does mention all.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm that way. So I apologise for that, Michelle. But accountants and bookkeepers for me, it's all providing financial data to the client and helping them run a better business. So I just lump everybody in with that same description. And then the last question from Michael. Sometimes we get queries that overlap payroll and HR, such as sick pay issues or SMP or notice periods and things like that. How do you deal with those?
Yep. So we're quite internally, we understand where our remit starts and finishes. So if it's factual questions, how does SSP work? How does SMP work? We will deal with that. If it then borders onto contractual stuff, what's it? We will keep that. That's above our pay grade, and we make that perfectly clear when we're communicating it. It's an HR issue. We don't touch that stuff, but we can give you the facts around how it works, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'll make that 10:30 and I've answered all the questions over there, all the stuff up over there. The contact details for Matt in order to book a discovery call, Mark, just pop them in the chat box again so that right at the end, all you need to do is click that link. It will take you to a booking page and you can book a conversation, no obligation whatsoever. Ben and Nat, you just have a nice general chit chat and see how it all works and see whether it will work for you going forward. So please click that link and fire away. Before we disappear, Ben, Nat, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I don't think so. If you could just, when you record, sort the recording out, cut the bit out where we massively messed up on the
yeah.
I'm sure Mark and the team will work wonders with it. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much to everybody that's come along and asked the questions this morning. As I say at the end, at the beginning of every of these conversations, it's the questions that you ask that make these sessions unique. So thank you very much to the community for coming along and asking those questions. Thank you to Mike for coming along and sharing his experience of how Payroll Sorted works. And thank you, obviously, to Ben and Matt for coming along and sharing. It's been an absolute pleasure and delight to have this conversation with you. Thank you, and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Thank
you. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching this video with Ben and Nat from Payroll Sorted, where they shared how to remove the black cloud that is payroll from your accountancy practice. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you get notified the next time we upload a video. And if you have any comments or questions, post them below and me or Ben or Nat will gladly answer them. On the screen now, you should see 2 videos, which are our recommendation that you watch next in order to inspire, challenge and support you to run a better accountancy practice.